What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over the Reign of X era of X-Men comics, where we actually pick up with X-Force number 17, 18, and 19. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to cover 3 X-Force issues in one singular video. Now, with that being said, this entire video is going to be about Kid Omega. Yes, this was a small storyline about Kid Omega in a very interesting kind of way. Now, you're going to have other characters actually involved in this storyline as well. But of course, the main character is Kid Omega, and asking the question, is there a possibility that maybe somebody is attacking the people of COPPA psychically? Someone with psychic powers is possibly attacking the mutant race. And that is the big question. And of course, the person who is going to solve it is Kid Omega. So here is X-Force number 17, 18, and 19. Now, the first few pages of this book is literally about Kid Omega dying so many times in X-Force comics. And honestly, this dude has. Now, I mean, most of the X-Force team had died a lot of times in the short period of X-Force books, but Kid Omega is one of those characters who had died a lot of times. And honestly, you can tell that this is a character who's kind of tired of dying. Now, if you're wondering how in the world they're able to bring this character back to life over and over and over again, well, remember, when it came to COPPA, they were actually able to bring in 5 mutants who are able to make you a new clone body. And then they download your memories into that new clone body. And so even though you die, there's a new version of you alive and well and being able to continue your life. And this goes on over and over again. And so this dude is always having a new body literally after a mission ends for the X-Force team. But this is him hoping that after his next mission, he'll be able to actually go home alive. And the reason why, because he has a date with one of the Stepford Cuckoos. Now remember, the Stepford Cuckoos are basically clones of Emma Frost. Because there was a time where Emma Frost was cloned. And of course, she had 4 young female clones of her made. And of course, they do share a hive mind, and they are very powerful psychic mutants. But of course, Kid Omega is dating one of them, or technically dating all of them. Because he is dating one of them, but because they share a hive mind in a way, he's technically dating all of them. It's really weird. You'll see what I mean as we go on with this book. Now, we do come to find out that for Kid Omega, his next mission is basically taking place on a boat, where of course something mysteriously has happened on a boat. And when Kid Omega arrives on the boat, well, of course he finds a bunch of dead bodies. Now, let me tell you guys, when I saw this happening in this book, my mind literally went into an old movie called Ghost Ship. And I remember seeing that movie at a very young age. Really, I saw the opening scene of that movie at a very young age, and that was messed up. But either way, though, this kind of reminded me a tad bit of Ghost Ship, because as soon as Kid Omega arrives onto this boat, it's a bunch of dead bodies. And when he walks around the place to figure out what in the world is going on, well, of course, he can't find anybody because they're all dead. But that is the moment he does find a young girl. Now, when he finds this young girl, of course, he's kind of like, okay, cool, I found somebody. But then she points behind him. And when she does point behind him, he sees something. And he can't believe what he is seeing. And so whatever he saw, it freaked him out good enough. And then the section closes right there. But then we pick up with Kid Omega being brought back to life because he was killed by whatever he saw on that ship. Now, with that being said, though, when he was brought back to life, of course, you do have his girlfriend being there, the one he had a date with and he was supposed to see after this mission. But either way, you do have her download all of his memories into his new clone body. Because remember, when you die, you get a new clone body and your mind is downloaded into that new clone body. Now, with that being said, though, you do have Kid Omega right now hanging out with Phoebe, and he does tell Phoebe something very important, which is that he hopes to figure out what actually happened to him. Because when it comes to you being brought back to life, you're basically only having the memories that were saved by Cerebro. And what I mean is that when it came to Charles Xavier and Forge, what they did was they made a brand new Cerebro system where basically it holds all the memories of different mutants across the world. The problem is, though, it is constantly updating, which means that there are times where if you die, there could be pieces of your memories before your death that wasn't downloaded to Cerebro in time, so that when your new clone body is made, you don't have the complete picture of what actually happened to you. And so when it comes to Kid Omega, right now, Cerebro did not download all of his memories before he died. And so he does not remember how he actually died. And that right there is very important. Now, you do have Kid Omega and Phoebe go to a nearby hospital. Now, the reason why they went to that nearby hospital is because there were 3 survivors on that boat. And that is huge because remember, when Kid Omega arrived on that ship, everybody was dead. Well, it looked like everybody was dead. But of course, now we know there were 3 survivors. Now, the first one, apparently, when Kid Omega reads his mind, apparently he was attacked by Wolverine. The problems are, though, the claw scars on this guy's body doesn't match Wolverine's claws. So the question is, if this guy was actually attacked by Wolverine and the scars in his mind show Wolverine actually attacking him, then what actually did attack him? Because the claw marks on his body do not match Wolverine's claws. Then the next person was Colossus, where apparently that person was badly injured by Colossus. But here's the thing, though. There are a lot of reports saying that Colossus never left the island. So that's 2 people back to back where it seems very odd. They were attacked by somebody who looked like Wolverine or looked like Colossus. But then the last survivor is the young girl, the one that Kid Omega found earlier. And when he read her mind, of course, it shows that he was the one who attacked her. And he can't believe it because he's kind of like, I didn't attack her. Why would I attack her? I did not attack her. But when Phoebe reads her mind, all the psychic scars on her mind points to Kid Omega being the one who had actually attacked her. Now you have Kid Omega kind of freaking out because now he's really wondering if he was the one who had actually killed her. Now, of course, this leads to him wondering, why is Phoebe hanging out with him? Because remember, when it came to Kid Omega, a lot of people did not like him when it came to X-Men characters. Now, the reason why they did not like him because he was a jerk. I mean, this dude was a huge jerk. But either way, right now, when it comes to Krakoa, everybody stands together. But you have Phoebe say it couldn't be you. Because when they found your body, your head was missing. And we still have not found your head. On top of that, when we found your body was covered in a fear toxin. So that is why probably you're freaking out because your body that we found was covered in fear toxin. So maybe that somehow transferred over to your new body. Who knows? But here's the thing though. We can tell that you were not the one who hurt that girl. It has to be something else. So relax and let's work together to figure out what actually happened. Now, this kind of leads into a reminder about the origin of Kid Omega. And what I mean is that basically you have Phoebe kind of mention that when it comes to Kid Omega's mind, there's a part of his mind that she's not able to access, which is her basically saying, let me see those deep parts of your mind that you have locked away. And apparently it's something that Kid Omega had also locked away as well. And that thing is, it's basically the idea that Kid Omega was adopted. Now, at first, it may seem like, okay, he was adopted, which means that his parents left him behind and he was adopted. And of course, he felt some type of way when it came to his parents who adopted him because they treated him like the kids at his school had treated him very poorly. But then you have Kid Omega say, that's not it though. because when my powers manifested, I basically killed my parents. My parents died, which made me become an orphan, which basically led to me being adopted. It was all thanks to his powers manifesting. And so it's him kind of opening up more to his girlfriend, Phoebe. Now, that is the moment we come to find out that basically Phoebe had called in a favor, and that favor is a character known as Jumbo. Now, when you see Jumbo, you already know what he's going to do, and what he's going to do is give you a new outfit, and that what he's going to do, and of course, that what he does. He gave Kid Omega a brand new outfit. Now, the reason why he's giving Kid Omega a brand new outfit is kind of like Marvel saying, this is going to be the new version of Kid Omega. Like, he'll still be kind of like your sarcastic character, but he'll be able to open up more. It's kind of saying like, this is a new chapter in Kid Omega's life. Not a reset, not a reboot, but more of like a new chapter, because this Kid Omega is actually growing up into somebody else, and hopefully a better person. But while Kid Omega is looking at his new outfit, that is the moment two things happen. One, he does see himself in the mirror, but he looks very strange in the mirror. At the same time, he does hear a loud scream. And to close on the first chapter of today's video, when he goes check up on Jumbo, Jumbo wants to attack Kid Omega and Phoebe. On top of that, we also see the Peacock guy. Because remember, the Peacock guy is part of an organization known as Xeno. And we haven't seen him in a short period of time, but right now, he's back. And right now, he's talking to somebody and telling somebody that they're getting more powerful. And that right there is very huge. Now, getting into X-Force number 18, the second chapter, we actually do pick up with Black Tom. Now, here's the thing, though. Right now, you have Black Tom basically just chilling out in the middle of the forest. Now, remember, Black Tom used to be an old X-Men villain, but over time, things have changed, where now he's kind of like a security system for COPPA, meaning that when it comes to his powers, he's able to detect you. And the way his powers work is that he has a connection to everything wood or ground-like. And so if you step on the ground nearby him, he's able to actually sense you. Now, with that being said, he does see some kind of creature walking to him. Like I said, he sees it, but the problem is, though, he can't actually detect it. Meaning that as this creature is walking on the ground, he's not able to use his powers to feel the steps of this creature walking to him. Now, when Black Tom gets close enough to this creature, bam, he is attacked, and then he is now buried in the ground. And so just like that, Black Tom was taken out. Now, we actually pick up with Sage. Now, remember, Sage is kind of like a computer person for the X-Men comics. Like, that's her mutant ability, where she's able to analyze almost everything digitally very well. And her brain works like a computer. And so she's part of X-Force in a way of that she runs security cameras and all kind of different tech stuff for the entire island to make sure the entire island runs smoothly. If anything pops off on her computer screens, she's able to tell X-Force or a different X-Men team to handle those different problems. Now, with that being said, though, you have Sage just taking the night off. Right now, she's basically at the bar. Of course, this is one of the bars where the X-Men go to for drinks. And this bar is, of course, run by Blob. And I love Blob because Blob used to be a bad guy in X-Men comics, but now Blob is a regular good old guy. But either way, though, you have Blob right now just feeding her drinks. But while she is drinking, that is when her mind is attacked by the same kind of psychic creature. Except this time she sees Blob as some kind of psychic creature. Now, of course, when she comes back to, Blob is normal again and she just asked for another drink. Now, the next person to be attacked is Jean Grey. Now, remember though, Jean Grey at this point in X-Force comics, she left the X-Force team for a lot of different reasons. One, it was too bloody for her, but two, because of Beast and his shady ways. But she left the team. But right now we see her at home at the summer house. Now, remember, the summer house is home to all the family members of Cyclops. So like Cyclops, Havoc, Gabriel Summers, Rachel Summers, Hope Summers, Cable. Yeah, there is a lot of them. And Jean Grey because she's married to Cyclops. But also Wolverine because Wolverine is also banging not Cyclops. He's also banging Jean Grey. So Cyclops and Wolverine share Jean Grey. Yeah, you heard that right. Either way, you do have Wolverine about to make out with Jean Grey, but that is the moment she is psychically attacked by the same psychic creature, where she looks at Wolverine at a very weird way. And she feels like she was actually hurt in the face or cut in the face. But of course, when she comes back to, everything is normal again. And the question is now, what in the world is going on? Now, you do have Kid Omega and Phoebe actually go back over to COPPA. Now, when they do, the first person they go to see is Beast, which makes sense because Beast is the leader of the X-Force operation. Wolverine is just a field leader, but Beast is the one in charge of everything. Now, with that being said, though, you do have Beast right now unable to talk because he had a stroke. And so right now the question is, why hasn't anybody take Beast to the Healing Gardens? Well, that is the moment you have Sage walk in and say, because her and Beast have an agreement, and that's it. Like, we get no more other reasons on why she has not taken Beast to the Healing Gardens. Now, with that being said, though, you do have Sage actually ask Phoebe and Kid Omega to read her mind. And when they do, of course, they were also, or not her, but she was also psychically attacked by some unknown creature. And that tells her, like, this is a mental attack, not physical, like some kind of gas, not kind of missile attack or being hit by soldiers. This is a mental attack. And that right there is scary. And right now, they need to figure out, how is this mental attack actually happening? So what they do is they take Beast into the Shadow Room. Now, the Shadow Room is basically a way for someone who's a psychic to kind of show everyone in the room what that psychic is seeing in someone's mind. And so while you have Phoebe and Kid Omega reading the mind of Beast, Sage is also able to see what's going on in Beast's mind, or what happened to Beast that led up to this moment. Now, with that being said, of course, while they're going through his mind, they're also seeing that he basically had a nightmare. Because at first, in their mind, they do see a memory when Sage said goodnight to Beast. She went to the bar, he stayed behind, and he took a nap. But when he took that nap, that led into his nightmare. And of course, his nightmare was him being picked on at school. But while this nightmare is going on, he's being yelled at and talked down to by basically a weird looking version of Kid Omega, which right now would have everyone believe that this is basically Kid Omega attacking his own people, attacking his old team, not old, but his own team. And so right now, all eyes are on Kid Omega right now as the person who's basically doing all of this. But of course, we all know there's no way it could be Kid Omega because he doesn't remember doing any of this at all. Now, after all of that right there, we can basically say it is confirmed that it has to be Kid Omega actually attacking his own team. And matter of fact, you have Sage use all her computer's tech to tell us, like, hey, all the fingers are pointing to you. Like, yes, right now, all my computers are saying that you are the one that is actually attacking the X-Force team. It has to be you, Kid Omega. Now, you do have Beast kind of ask Sage to go ahead and kill him off because right now, with that stroke, he's unable to actually talk properly. And so right now it's him kind of telling Sage, go ahead and kill me. kill me off now. Like, I cannot do this. Go ahead and kill me off now. But of course, you have Sage tell us the reason why she hasn't killed Beast off or taken him to the Healing Gardens is because the X-Force team, they know too much. Meaning that if they die, a dead body of them could literally compromise everything that COPPA has built. And so with that being said, if Beast had died and his body was not properly taken care of, his old one, and somebody was able to find his body and read that body's mind, they will learn a lot of things about X-Force. And so that is why Sage did not kill Beast at all. Now, you do have Kid Omega and Phoebe try one more thing. And what they do try is that basically you have Kid Omega say that they're going to go into the astral plane. Really just him going into the astral plane. Now, remember, the astral plane is where kind of like you say, it is the dream dimension for all dreams of everybody. But psychics are able to access the astral plane very easily. Now, the reason why Kid Omega is going into the astral plane is because that is when this creature is attacking people, because it has to be hanging out in the astral plane, because it's waiting for its victims to be tired, exhausted, drunk, whatever. But when that person's mind is in that state where they cannot protect itself or themselves, that is when the creature attacks from the astral plane. And so it's Kid Omega going into the astral plane kind of like bait, hoping to finally see this creature. The problem is though, Kid Omega does see this creature, and when he does, this creature has begun the process of actually attacking Kid Omega. And so out in the real world, Phoebe is unable to actually wake Kid Omega up from this nightmare that he's basically trapped in. Now, when it comes to the next chapter for X-Force, that is the moment we actually do pick up with Jean Grey. And this is a way for X-Force to bring back Jean Grey onto the team. Because while Jean Grey is laying in bed with Cyclops, that is the moment you actually have Phoebe calling out for Jean Grey, like, we need your help. Kid Omega needs your help. And so that is how we're going to get Jean Grey back into the story. Now, of course, when he wakes back up, of course, we do come to find out that Jean Grey was the one who had basically helped him out, who was able to bring him out of that nightmare. But when he came out of that nightmare, just like that, he tells Jean Grey, he tells Phoebe, I know where to go. I know where the source of these attacks are coming from. And I need your help right now to bring this source down. And he tells Jean Grey, Beast is dead, which of course, Beast did die in the last chapter. But anyway, though, you do have Kid Omega tell Jean Grey that basically right now you are technically in charge of X-Force, but I need your help to bring down the source of these attacks. And honestly, I'm not going to take a no for an answer, meaning that I'm going to force you to help me out with this problem, if you like it or not. But getting back into the mind of Kid Omega or the astral plane, whichever, you have Kid Omega trying his best to kind of fight through the nightmare that he is in. And he tells us that when it comes with this nightmare, it seems like it's his own mind fighting against itself. Like every time he tries to wake back up, he can't wake back up. Every time he tries to use a weapon as a way to defend himself in this nightmare, that weapon gets turned against him. Basically, everything he tries to do is not working. He's just trapped in an endless nightmare. And it seems like he could possibly die in this nightmare. But that is the moment he's actually lucky enough that that's when you have Jean Grey come out of nowhere. And she reach out her hand and say, come with me. If you want to fight this, if you want to beat this, you have to take, I can't talk, sorry. If you want to fight this, if you want to beat this, you have to leave all the doubt behind and just take my hand and believe that I'm somebody on your side right now, that I'm not part of this nightmare. And of course, he has no choice. And so he has to basically go ahead, take her hand and leave. Now, when Kid Omega is able to regroup with Jean Grey, Sage, and also Phoebe, you do have Kid Omega being able to give enough information over to Sage to basically tell her that with all that information, she should be able to actually kind of locate where they need to go, because that is the source of all the attacks are coming from. And of course, you have Sage being able to find the location. But here's the thing though, Kid Omega, he has a master plan. He has a way to actually attack this facility, but it's going to be a tad bit different. Now, you do have Jean Grey kind of train Kid Omega and Phoebe on the astral plane. And what I mean is that when it comes to the astral plane, it's somewhere where a lot of psychics are able to access. But of course, it takes a very talented psychic to actually access the astral plane, but to be able to navigate through it. And so Kid Omega was powerful enough to actually access the astral plane, but he really had no idea how to navigate through it. And when it came to Phoebe, she couldn't even access the astral plane. But now it's Jean Grey teaching them how to basically access, but to also navigate through the astral plane. Now, when it comes to the astral plane, you have to remember it's basically like the dream dimension. And so with that being said, if they want to use the astral plane, they have to remember that every weapon here can be very strong, but it's basically based on your belief. Meaning that if you want to use a cannon and make that cannon be really powerful, you have to believe in the idea of how powerful that cannon can actually be. But that is just enough to kind of help Kid Omega and Phoebe be able to fight in the astral plane when it comes down to it. Now, this is where the story really wraps up very quickly. And what I mean is that while you have Domino and Jean Grey right now attacking the facility that Sage was able to find, thanks to Kid Omega giving Sage all that information, while Domino and Jean Grey are attacking that facility, you have Kid Omega and also Phoebe in the astral plane trying to keep that creature busy, because when they keep that creature busy long enough, it gives Jean Grey and Domino the chance to move through that facility very easily. Now, this is the moment where we basically learn that this creature is just another Kid Omega. And what I mean is that when it comes to Xeno, this evil organization that's been around in X-Force comics ever since X-Force #1, they are known to kind of taking an older version of you and being able to clone you, to use your clones as a way to get rid of the mutant race. Because in the earlier parts of X-Force, they did that to Domino. They captured her and they cut off pieces of her and basically used those pieces to make clones of her to do different things around the world. Now, of course, they were able to shut that down. But what we're seeing right now is kind of the same thing. They were able to take an older version of Kid Omega, or possibly a clone of Kid Omega, and use this clone to attack the X-Force team. But either way, the way the book ends is where you have Kid Omega fighting this older version of himself in the astral plane and being able to actually kill this other version of himself in the astral plane. So now everything is taken care of. That facility was shut down by Jean Grey and Domino, but also this other clone of Kid Omega is also taken care of. Everything should be back to normal for now. But with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.